Hi there, it's Angela, and you're listening to the 5th episode of our 6-week Power Through series for spring. The encouragement I want to offer you today centers on how to power through with reflection. Reflection is an essential part of making your work feel meaningful, because there are few things more frustrating than working hard and not seeing a ton of results. It's even worse when your hard work is unappreciated and you're criticized for not doing enough or for doing things wrong. When you're trying your absolute best to teach well in a pandemic, the reality is that your best might not always be good enough. Sometimes what you're able to give your students really isn't sufficient. That's just real. It makes sense that you would sometimes feel inadequate because you know what you're capable of under optimal circumstances, and you know that you're not working with anything even close to optimal circumstances. So the only options are to try to single-handedly compensate for all of these adverse circumstances and perform at a superhuman level every day, or adjust our expectations. And you know what choice I'm going to advocate for. I want you to let go of the shoulds and the regrets about this school year. I want you to celebrate the small wins instead of focusing on all the things that aren't happening. I'm going to talk more about this next week. We're going to really do a deep dive into release of regrets. For now, though, I want you to focus more on who you are becoming instead of what you are able to do or not do for your students. Ask yourself, who do I want to be on the other side of pandemic teaching? What kind of teacher and what kind of human do I want this experience to be shaping me into? Because in our rush to figure out logistics and lessons and activities, we can't forget that who we are is much more impactful than what we do. Our beliefs, our values, our worldview shape the way we interact with kids and impact every decision we make, from classroom management to curriculum. Unpacking our identities and the who that we bring to the classroom can be a grounding force that holds us steady through change. Of course, you don't have the time or the mental bandwidth right now for a deep meditation on who you are as a person and a teacher. And as always, I'm encouraging you not to make this more complicated than it has to be. Self-reflection is a continual process, and it's often more about letting go instead of trying harder. Focus on showing up as your true, whole, healed, essential self. Letting go of any thoughts, beliefs, and actions that don't serve the highest good. At your core, you are loving and patient and kind and compassionate. You are full of life and energy and purpose. All the traits that are counter to that are simply baggage. It's just coping mechanisms that you've picked up along the way in your journey. It's a long journey through life in a very challenging world. We all pick up reactions that we develop as a result of fear and emotional wounds, defensiveness, prejudice, biases, outside expectations, and so on. Growing as a person can be an act of returning to yourself and embracing who you really are instead of trying to constantly change or improve yourself. Your very existence, your very presence in the classroom has value. And the more that you show up with an open heart and mind, free from limiting beliefs about yourself and your students and your school, the more your essential self will shine through. So as you plan what you need to do for kids, don't forget to think about who you need to be. Your essential self, who you are at your core, is exactly the person your students need this year. Next Wednesday, we'll talk about releasing regrets about the way this school year unfolded. But for now, I want you to remember to reflect on who you are and who you are becoming. That's the 5th element of continuing in a strong and determined way until the end, even when it's difficult. Reflection is key to powering through.